Hey guys, thank you for joining us again for another exciting episode of YOML. Today we are going back to one of a classic book. Reflection 251 is a book by Ernest Hemingway. So I'll let Chris introduce the book and then the reflection.
Yeah, so this is The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. I've never read this book. I mean, obviously, I think everybody knows who the name Ernest Hemingway is. I don't know that I even knew a single thing that he wrote in the spirit of like the whole Jack Kerouac thing. Like I'd always heard that guy's name before, and I was like, you know what? Like this is a journey about learning. So I was like, let's give Hemingway a chance here on this one. I went to Google and I said, hey, Google, what's the most, popular and influential Hemingway book? And the Google machine spit out The Old Man and the Sea. And this is, I think, the book that he won like a Nobel literature prize for or something like that. Anyway, this is arguably his most famous work is The Old Man and the Sea. So I was like, hey, what the hell? Let's see what happens. Amelia and I had some fun reading this one, and the reflection that came out of this one was, I wish the boy was here. Don't do it alone. So if you don't know, do you know what this book's about? Have you read it?
No.
Okay, so in all seriousness, this book sucks. Like, I mean, I didn't get it. I was like, what am I missing? Like, it was this old dude that used to be a fisherman. He has this little boy that's a friend that kind of helps him out, and he'll go fishing every once in a while with him. But like, this guy used to be like a serious fisherman, or whatever. Yes, it's kind of how they set the stage. And one day he decides to go out deep sea fishing by himself, and he ends up catching a marlin. This marlin and him have this epic struggle where everything is falling apart, but he's still hanging on for dear life. And this is like multiple days, and he's out of food, and he's in the hot sun, and he's just struggling. Anyway, it's this old man versus the sea versus this marlin, and they're having this epic fight of whatever is going on. And then he ends up winning, right? So eventually conquers the marlin, but it was an exhausting process, and he was just taxed. Like his boat was all jacked up, like everything was jacked up, right? And he was hungry, he was tired, he had no more energy left in him, and he had nobody there to help him the entire time, and he did it all by himself. And then on the way back in, he had to tow the marlin on the back of the boat or something. I think it was like a shark or something like that ate the marlin. After all was said and done, he came back and he didn't have anything to show. All he had was his memories of this epic struggle of capturing this massive marlin on his own, and nobody saw it. He had nothing to bring it back. And by the time he got back, the boy was like, what the hell happened? And I think everything I heard from the story was like, man, that sucks. The guy's all by himself, fighting, doing epic things, but nobody knows, nobody cares, nobody's there. And it reminded me of what you always say: if you had $1 trillion and never got to see it or spend it, does it really matter? No, this guy had this epic fight with this marlin out by himself in the sea. Nobody cares, nobody saw it, nobody will ever know. And the whole entire time he kept saying, I wish the boy was here, because that was his little buddy. That was his helper back in the shore. That was somebody he liked to share his life with now. And he missed him. He missed the company. He missed the camaraderie. He missed the help. He missed just not being by himself. And it reminded me, as he kept saying that, this is why this is the reflection, is how YOML started. This was, do you remember when I was we were still doing just our normal stuff that we were doing, and every once in a while we'd be on a topic, and I was like, oh, I was just writing about this morning with this book that I read. And I was in this epic struggle myself and this epic journey with Amelia, and I was writing about all these things, but I didn't have anybody to share it with. I remember one time I was like, hey, True, can I just read this to you and we can talk about it? And we ended up having a long conversation, and then we did it again, and then we did it again. For some reason we decided to start recording it, and then we started this podcast, and now here we are 251 of these later, because don't do it alone, right? What's the point of life if you're just, what's the point of me writing for myself every single day? Like, yeah, sure, Amelia and I, we get a lot of intrinsic value out of it, but like, if you can't share it with anybody else in this world, if you can't do anything, what is the point of doing epic things? Like, we talked about, what is the point of getting through the dip if you're doing it by yourself? Like, what is the point of any of this stuff if you're doing it alone? And this book just reminded me of that, of like this poor dude, old dude out at sea, missing his buddy and his camaraderie, and he's fighting this epic fight, and nobody knows, nobody cares, and like nobody will ever know. It's like, what's the point? So like, this is what I made me think about, is don't do it alone. And whenever I think about that, I wish the boy was here. You're the boy, True, I guess.
I'm either Jazzy Jeff or I'm the boy.
The boy, Jazzy Jeff. That was Find Your Jazzy Jeff, right?
And was that Jenny McCarthy?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, well, Jenny McCarthy was yes, but yeah, Jenny McCarthy. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's a theme, isn't there? What's funny is I wrote this one back when we had only done 107 of these. We're at 251 now, right? So that was 140, or that was 100, 44 of these ago. Like, I mean, that's wild.
Right. I mean, it's more than twice the amount already.
Yeah,
it's been a journey.
Yeah. And it's been fun. This wouldn't happen if you and I weren't doing this together. I know that for a fact. Whether or not I wrote them and read the books or whatever, it's irrelevant. There's no way that it would be as fun if I wasn't doing it with, not just with Amelia every day, but with you.
Do it alone. I'm not sure how far you can probably go, like maybe 10, 20 after that.
Yeah. I wouldn't have gotten this far for sure.
Mhm.
I'd love to get your thoughts.
Right. So to me, this reflection, it's very simple, but it's very profound. And like we talked about yesterday, how the simplest answer is the hardest to understand because it's so simple, right? The reason why I asked you before is, if you have $1 trillion and you cannot tell anyone, is it worth it for you to make $1 trillion? The thing is, your reward isn't the thing you put the effort into. Your reward isn't to catch the marlin.
Right.
Your reward is the ability to share.
Share the story how you caught them.
Well, the thing is, you share the memories. The memory can only be solidified and expounded upon if you can share them. And that's why we, as a human species, have this desire to share. That's why our culture and our species have been rapidly overtaking all the other animals in the animal kingdom because of our desire to share, right? We want to share it. And so you think about the old man, right? He is battling this arduous battle with this marlin, right? All the effort he put out, and then he caught it. He actually won. Then he brings it back, right?
But didn't bring it back.
The thing is, he's trying to bring it back.
But
the thing is, you think about why do you think? What is the thing that he's thinking while he's dragging it back?
I can't wait to tell everybody about it.
Exactly.
The story about the epic journey.
Exactly. It isn't that I caught it. It's like how I caught it, and this is the thing I want to share. But because the shark ate the catch, it brings it back. His reward basically just vanished. Imagine you won the lottery or you made $1 trillion selling your company, but you can't tell anyone about it. How would you feel? You feel like you're being left standing like with the rug being yanked from your feet. You think about it. If you did something, right? You did something, but you didn't get to share it. So basically, you have been yanked from you. And so from the perspective of the human desire, it basically creates this disappointment of a feeling, right? And so that's why I'm saying we have a very strong desire to share the thing that we discover with others. So discovery, like learning, like for you, like you are so excited every time you read something or you wrote something, you can't even wait to tell me. Sometimes you even text me, say, I have this great idea. I want to text you so that I don't forget that when we meet with, I'll tell you about it. Well, that's your brain chemicals is releasing. It's giving you that reward. The reward is, hey, I can tell truth. I can tell my wife this. I can tell this. But then you have to be able to tell the people that can reciprocate the feeling. I mean, the people who care. So, for example, let's say your wife doesn't play tennis, and you tell her about tennis, right? She doesn't appreciate that. It doesn't feel like you getting reward.
She does not appreciate it. She gives no fucks. Like, honestly, she's like, I tell her all the time about like, oh man, I hit this epic shot or whatever, and everybody, the whole court went like, holy shit, and she's like, what do you, I don't care. Like, what do I care? And I'm like, well, you don't understand. It was like this, and this. And she's like,
but imagine the feeling you feel when you tell her about your epic battle and your tennis match, right?
Yeah,
it's a disappointment.
Right.
Because imagine you tell somebody who understands, really, you did that? Well, that's awesome, right? That dopamine feelings and whatever chemical that gives you that good feeling, right? It's releasing, and that's the reward you got. But if you imagine that you can't tell someone, that's even more like, I don't know. It's feel to me like imagining it. It feels
it's like torturous.
Torture,
honestly.
right? It is torture. And then when you tell somebody who doesn't understand it, it's still as torture as that.
It might be even worse when it's like trying to describe what you and I do together to somebody that doesn't care, and it's like we have such an epic journey that we've been on together, or like Amelia and I. Like, honestly, when people ask me what you do now or something like that, I'm like, you don't want to hear this. And they don't. I mean, they really don't unless they really do, and then they're like, if they really do, then we know that like there's some sort of a shared value or something
Right.
that they want to go explore.
It's
right?
a common alignment, right?
Yeah, like my tennis buddies want to hear about these things. Like, like they want to hear about the epic match that I just played against Dalton, or something like
Right.
that. And they're like, oh man, how'd you guys come out? Who did this? Like, what was that? Tell me about this point. Like, people that don't value whatever, tennis, like they don't give a shit. Values and purpose and whatever. They're not gonna give a fuck about what you and I are talking about every single night. They're gonna go, cool, you talk to some dude on a Zoom chat every single night about a book, they're gonna be like, sounds fun.
Care about it. It doesn't sound fun, but
Right.
to you, like, you feel like you're being cheated out of your reward,
Mhm.
right? But the thing is, to me, it is more miserable when you have to self-constrain yourself. Like I say, if you had $1 million or $1 trillion, whatever it is, whatever amount that is enormous to you, and the caveat is you can't tell anyone. That's the hardest thing. Is to self-limiting yourself from telling, because when you tell something, you at least get to do it. And yes, you don't get the reward of the people receiving it, because when you give somebody a gift, they say no, I don't want to give.
Right.
So you basically didn't give, but at least you had an attempt to give the gift, to share this knowledge, this discovery. So that's the reward, is to go through the whole cycle. But to self-constrain yourself not to tell, to me, that's like 8 out of 10 effort. In terms of,
it's hard.
It's super hard.
Have you ever heard the old saying, how do you tell if somebody does CrossFit?
They tell you that they do CrossFit
within the first 5 minutes. Yeah, no, I was doing CrossFit, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, I don't give a fuck. Or how do you know somebody went to Harvard,
We have an Harvard t-shirt.
they'll tell you in the first 5 minutes, or whatever. Like, it's like,
when it was at Harvard, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Oh, when I was at Harvard, and you're going to go, oh, Jesus Christ. Or like, how do you know somebody's a philosopher, philosophy major? They'll mention like Nietzsche or something like that in like random conversations or whatever. And you're like, I don't care, like, and I think we all know that. But like the point of what you and I are both getting at is like, when you learn stuff and when you do stuff, like, you have to share. We are compelled to share. It is, that's the last part of the hero's journey, right? Is share the elixir, right? If you go find something that has value and you can't go share it with somebody else, like, what is the point?
It doesn't allow the human nature to be expressed, because to me, this is two of the I guess the strongest, desire that human being have. One is discovery, and two is to share it. Because even you look at the hero's journey, right? He discovers something and he shares it. It's the two of the biggest desire, the two biggest motivator of human efforts that I've seen. Like, so you're talking about, like, because it's, when you say don't do it alone, it's not just, hey, you want to have somebody, but also to get the reward.
Right.
The double mean to release. You have to have somebody there that understood you, so that you can say, yeah, I've done this. And you think about it, he wished the boy was there, because he wants to tell the boy, because the boy understands what he does and cares what he does.
Right.
And that's the most important part. Is like, in order for you to have meaningful work, right, and meaningful relationship, they have to share the care.
Right.
Because if the boy doesn't care, like, even if you live with your wife for like 40 years, 50 years, and she doesn't like tennis, it doesn't matter how many stories you tell her about tennis. It doesn't care. And so you basically go, oh, I'm disappointed. I have this.
You might as well talk to a brick wall. Like, no, I mean, whenever I explain anything to her, there's no context that she understands anything that I'm explaining to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what that's like, and I don't really care. I don't really like fishing. I hate fishing, as a matter of fact. For me, this story was like,
that's why it sucks.
This story sucks. I was like, this is boring as hell, man.
Imagine somebody's an avid fisherman. I mean, that book is great.
Probably, I think,
But that's a point, though. And the point is, the variable to the formula is, you want to do it with somebody who cares. So that means don't do it alone. That means that it's multiple layers in this reflection, because you have to look at that, meaning like you need to share the burden, like the problems and whatnot. And second, you have to care. The people that is around you that you want to do it with has to care. Like you and I care about similar common things. Otherwise, there's no fun for you and me to get on this.
We would hate this.
I mean, you and I have never seen each other in person.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, which is
And
crazy.
and so you and I has been on face to face almost every day for the past almost 3 years, since July or August of 2020,
20.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, which is why it's beyond wild. It's like so fun. Okay, so the best way I could describe this whole journey is if I'm talking to somebody and they're like, "Hey, like, what have you been up to?" "Oh, I read 300 books and wrote a 300,000 word book on reflections on life or something like that." They're gonna go, "Oh, that's cool." Like, whatever. And honestly, it just sounds conceited. It sounds like, "Oh, I went to Harvard." You know what I mean? It's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
cool. You just wanted to brag to me about, you read a lot of books and you like to write or something like that." The truth is, I don't even know what to say to you because I'm like, how do you want me to describe all of this stuff that you and I have gone through together or that other people have gone through with us and what this journey really is about? How can I distill that essence to somebody else without spending 2 hours and then without them being really interested in what we're
I
trying?
mean, more than 2 years to figure out how to describe what company is.
Right,
So
exactly.
how
Like,
can somebody say, well, I understand you, Chris. You're doing all this for the past almost 3 years. I understand you.
cool.
There's
Right.
no way. There's no
No.
way anyone will be able to get the essence, even the simplified essence of what you do. And so the thing is, if you tell somebody who doesn't care, it's it's hard. It sometimes it feels like you're
No, it honestly feels like you're bragging. If you came back and you're like, "Yeah, I got the biggest marlin that's ever
it
been
feels
caught,"
feels like you're bragging to from the other person's perspective.
you feel like you're like
For
you're
you,
you're
for
you're
for
just
you
trying to like
is
humble brag about stuff, and you're like, I don't want to talk to you about this, like, unless you really care, like, it's the truth. Like, I don't want to tell anybody I caught the most epic marlin ever unless they care about marlin fishing or unless they're the boy or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, because they
because
won't
thing
give a
is
fuck.
because you think about it. You think about, let's say, I mean, you do this to me a lot, right? And the thing is, the reason why it's fun because I care, right? Anything that is pertains to company and our values, right?
Right.
We have a blast talking about it. But the thing is, you don't share the same thing to me to everybody else. Why is that?
Well, because they don't care.
No, it's not because they don't care. It's because you don't get the feelings of
Oh, yeah,
somebody.
yeah.
Somebody took what I say
And care.
and like,
Yeah,
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 really. I mean,
yeah.
so the thing is, that's why you don't say. I mean, the thing is, you can say it. You can say it to everybody. You can say, hey, I read this book. It's really grand. Blah blah blah. Right. But the thing
Hmm.
is, you're not getting that reward of a feeling. That's
Nothing.
why you stop doing it.
Right.
Right? Because that's why you say, well, that's why you're excited to tell me because this, whatever aligns with what we do, right? You're excited to tell me. And because when you tell me, I understood what you mean and we discover more, that
And
kind of
we have
cycles you
an
back
hour long
and
talk.
your brain is getting the neural reward.
Right,
And
right.
that's it. Well, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. So next time I have another one, oh, I can't wait to tell true. I can't wait to tell true. But that's the only thing you say, hey, I can't wait to tell my wife. Your wife, I don't care. So you say, I can't wait to tell her because you don't think about it. You only want to tell me, right?
Right.
Just
Well,
like
because she doesn't
the
care. She doesn't care about.
exactly. So
If I was
that
talking to her about this exact thing, she would go, "That's cool." I've shared with her a few of my reflections, and a couple times she's gone, "Yeah, that's cool." And I'm like, "No,
I
no,
mean,
but you don't understand." Like, like, and she's like, "No, no, it was, I mean, no, I think I got it." And I'm like,
if you think you got it, you don't.
I'm like, "Oh, okay." So, I mean, I've shared with her ones that are like a little bit about her, and
Mhm.
in particular. So, like, it's trying to just because it's relevant to her. I would assume, right? Oh, excuse
Well,
me.
you assume it's relevant to her,
Right.
but from her perspective, it doesn't register. It doesn't trigger any kind of elations of, hey, yeah, I can do this, or I can do that, or I can understand that. This means something is profound. Like if I
Right.
say something like this is profound, and if you don't understand what it means, like yeah, right? It's boring, and you're going to say, well, I'm gonna doze off to
It's
sleep.
not even just boring. It's almost condescending. Like, it's almost holier than thou. I know exactly what this is what I'm saying. This is what I was trying to get at with the whole CrossFit or Harvard. People, they're really proud of it and they really had a great experience and they want to share that. Like Texas A&M, right? Or something like that, right? Like they had a great experience and they want other people to know what it's like to be an Aggie or what it's like to go to Harvard or something like that. Or something that they know they're really proud of and that other people in theory will maybe be proud of them about. But the truth of the matter is nobody cares. Like you don't care just as much as you don't give a shit about Purdue. If you and I all we talked about was Purdue and Texas A&M, we wouldn't be friends.
No,
Like,
and there's no common interest. So for
right.
you to tell me, what am I gonna say?
Nothing.
What are you getting back in return?
zero. Like it's
Zero.
it's a
So
it's
so
a
it's like you put out all this effort and then get zero reward back. It feels like a disappointment,
it's
right?
beyond disappointing. It feels like you're at a
Exactly. It's
fucking. It feels like
beyond
you're at a
that, but
dinner
that's
party.
as close I can come up with a word to describe the feeling. Because I'm saying like the feeling is like somebody yank the rug from your feet, and you're like completely shocked. Okay,
It feels
what am I doing now?
it feels like you're wasting your life. Honestly, is what it feels like. Like it feels like if you ever been to like a wedding or like a dinner party or something like that, where you're like forced to talk to people that you don't want to talk to, and then like you find yourself in a conversation about trips to Galveston, Texas, or something like that, and
And the thing
you're
is,
like,
you notice your jaw starts to hurt,
right,
right?
right,
And
right.
you and I can talk for 3 hours and we don't feel our jaw hurts. But I talk to somebody for like 5 minutes and my jaw starts to hurt because
Because you're going, yeah,
my
right,
mind is completely not into the conversation. And
it's
it's the longest 5 minutes.
it's awful. There's nothing worse than having no connection to somebody. That's what we're talking about. The feeling of being in a room with other people and not having any connection to them beyond just your physical presence feels almost more lonely, like, than being, probably not, but like, just, I guess, having just a human around at a certain level is better than having no human around, but not much.
Right. You're talking
Like,
about a level 2 versus a level 10. That's how I
right.
would describe the feelings of having a person that's there with you in the trenches. That's a completely different levels
Yes.
than the level. Hey, I have somebody there. Oh, my neighbor's there.
Military.
It's not the same thing because you're talking about like the in the Marine Corps, right? This is you ride and die together. That's
Right.
what I mean. It literally means that, right? And so that has a deep meaning. You're talking about like a level 10 meaning versus a level 2. Level 2 say, yeah, it's good, but
Right.
right. So that's the kind of a feeling that you get from being able to share with somebody who understands you, who
Like you could say,
understands you.
a beaver must dam, and I get it, right? It's like my fraternity brothers, they say, do you know Kimball? I know exactly what they're talking about, and I know
Mhm.
exactly what they mean. If they say no sleep till Brooklyn, or they start playing that song, like we all just look at each other and smile. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's things that, and if I try to explain to anybody why no sleep till Brooklyn makes us all chuckle and laugh, and they're like, well, what's the relevance of that song? Well, like, you wouldn't understand. Well, try me. Okay, fine. We were stuck in a room, that was like a 10 by 10 room with 25 people in there, sleeping in the freezing cold on water, standing water, no sleep for 8 hours a day, and you hear this little bzz, 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 with the speakers on, right outside your room at 3 a.m. in the morning, and
Mhm.
no sleep till, and somebody comes running in and forces us all out of the room to go do calisthenics and take a cold shower and, like, go do crazy shit, and you're like, do you understand what I'm saying? You know why we smile now when we say that? And they're like, no, I don't understand. I mean, they're
Yeah.
like, I get it, but no, you don't get it. Like, I don't get what it's like to be in Afghanistan in a base or whatever with my Marines, like you were saying. I don't know what that's like. You might try to describe it to me. The truth is, you'll never fucking know, and you're not supposed to.
Exactly.
And when you talk about it around other people, you just feel lonely. If I talk about Amelia with a lot of people, especially early on, I just felt lonely because I was like, you don't get it. I can't.
You can connect unless the other person understands. So
Right.
that's the beauty of this is once you have somebody who understands you, you only have to say few words. People must
Right.
damn the other one downhill. Like the one and you and I keep saying the one for trains, and you and I know exactly what we're
I know
talking
exactly
about,
what you mean. Yeah.
and we know, yeah. How's your balance, right? These things is what gives you this meaningful relationship.
Right.
Without that, right, you can't have this. I don't. You gotta be careful with the words, but like fulfillment, or satisfied with
It's a
with
part of the
what you
equation.
do.
It's the
It,
yin and
it's
the yang, like it's a part of the equation.
right.
It's the meaningful relationship. I mean, it's why we said it's meaningful work and meaningful relationships. It doesn't matter if you do epic things that really align to your values. If you don't have anybody else to share it with that cares about that, it's not worth
It
it. Like,
doesn't.
that's not meaningful. It's not purpose.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're missing half of it. Meaning, there's no yin, there's no yang, right? There's no yang,
Right.
there's no yin. So it has to go together. Meaningful work, meaningful relationship goes together, and they are the core to the company. And don't do it long. Essentially, specify that these things has to exist.
Right.
It's very simple, but very, very profound. And a lot of times, when you say somebody, I don't do it alone, it doesn't mean much to them.
Right. Yeah,
But if
they don't care at all.
you tell to me, right, I know exactly what you're saying, and
Right.
just like you saying with your fraternity brothers, right? There's certain things that you guys know just by utter a few words, and you
Right.
guys have this deep understanding and connections, and you your reward center is spitting out these chemical to give you, hey, I have this positive connections,
Right.
and that connections makes my life feel worth living. Right?
Exactly.
You think about it, you're gonna have to fulfill the desire of your nature. Your nature is so strong that if you don't, you're gonna become miserable. You're just creating misery for yourself if you try to be something you're not. And a lot of times, like when people think about, hey, it's better to be interested than to be interesting. You want to start a conversation, try to be interested. Ask people about how their CrossFit, ask them about the Harvard or whatever, and show enthusiasm. You can do that, but to me, that's a whole hell lot of work.
Awful. It's
But
awful.
I say, forget it. If there's no connections, I don't need to talk to you. So
I agree. I was one of my employees, the one that I'm trying to like work really hard with her to say no to everybody because it affects her balance like dramatically bad. She puts on this bright, shiny face and she's super energetic and she looks like she's having fun. But, she's told me many times, like, I'm not having fun. She was like, I hate it. Like, she was like, my boyfriend will hear me on a Zoom chat and I have all my normal energy that I bring. And then as soon as I get off, she's like, and he's like, what? He's like, I thought you were having fun. She's like, no, that was awful. That was the worst thing ever.
that was acting.
And yeah, she's just a really good actor, right? But acting takes a lot of energy.
I forgot.
We were talking about the year of yes, right? It was an interesting conversation because it actually applied a lot to that. And we were just talking about this stuff last night. And I was like, look, every time you say yes to the shit that you don't want to do, and to help other people, because we want to feel that connection, right? So badly. And we say yes. Oh, you were talking about networking. That was what you were talking about. She goes, I was like, what do you absolutely love to do? And she was like, you know what I love to do? She was like, I love, like, put me into a conference room or a networking event or whatever. And like, I am just energized like crazy about whatever. She was like, it is like the most fun that I ever get to have is having just random conversations with random people and learning about their lives and yada yada yada. And I'm like, that sounds miserable to me. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing.
It sounds suffocating to me. I can't do it.
This is the whole point of a beaver must dam. Like for her, I was like, look, if that's what you want to do, then just do that. Like, and say no to everything else. Like, and say yes to these things that you want to do. Because I guarantee you, because she was telling me, she was like, I plan out my schedule every single week. She's very detailed. She's very scheduled, and she was like, I look at it and she's like, literally, she goes, I took a deep breath. She was like, on Sunday, she goes, I was like, okay, you can do this. And I was like, that is not what you should do. You should be looking at your schedule going, I get to do this. You know what I mean? Like if you have to look at your schedule and go, all right, I just got to keep my energy levels high enough each day to get through the next day, to go through blah, 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 blah. I was like, that is, you were doing this all wrong. And I'm not saying that she's doing, like people got to learn their own lessons, right? But I'm like, this is going to lead you to nothing but burnout all day long. Like, and you think that you're doing, all of us, I'm harping on her and I'm harping. I did the same. I do the same stuff still myself every once in a while.
I mean, the thing is, any activities that you have to push yourself, that's not the activity that your nature wants. Okay,
right.
It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter what it is. You can be novice at something complex, but something let's say you want to do quantum mechanics, for example, and you get know nothing about it because your interest is always going to drive you. Say, I want to look at quantum mechanics, right? Do you have to force yourself to do it?
No.
Let's say you like pizza or you like potato chips. Do you have to force yourself to
not like
no, I'm talking about this because
no, I'm being serious.
And that is what you want. Whatever you want, it's calling you. It's not like if you have to force yourself to eat potato chips. I'm just making an example, or ice cream, or for me, I love food. That's why I'm diabetic. I love food, but I love food. So every moment I think about recipes and food and the kind of things I can get. I can't stop. I can't help myself. I cannot help myself but thinking about
compulsion.
That. You are compelled to do that, and you feel good about thinking about it. You can feel good about doing it.
Right.
So whatever it is, when you think about poker, right? It doesn't matter. We're talking about a kid, right? A kid has a strong desire to want to walk. It doesn't matter how many times he or she fell. He's gonna get up, even if he or she hurts her head when she fell down. she's still gonna do it because she is drawn to doing that activity. And to think about, in order for somebody to walk, it's a arduous task. It's not easy to maintain the balance and to it's a bipedal, right? It's not like four pedal. You stand without any kind of help. Bipedal is difficult. It takes a lot of coordinations. But a kid, I am telling you, all the kids in the world, all 7, 8 billions of other kids, and many more that came before, trillions of people have all successfully have learned to walk because the desire is strong. It's not because they have to force themselves. Kids never have to force themselves to want to walk.
Right.
They are drawn to walk. They're compelled to want to walk. So same thing with any activity that you and I do, or anyone in is listening to this.
Talk,
I mean, I don't care if you're an introvert. I don't care if you're an introvert. You want to share. You are compelled to share with other people who understand you. Let's say you understand about Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica or whatever, right? You're compelled to share the knowledge of. We're talking about the Vulcans, the Klingons. Well, everybody's gonna nerd out of it. Why? Right? The introverts, but they are compelled to share nonetheless because that's human nature. That's part of the fundamental human nature. That like it's about discovery and about sharing, and without having the need to use willpower to do that, right? So if you have to remind yourself to do it, that's not an activity that is natural for you. A beaver is like, if you don't force it to stop, it'll continue to build the dam. For you, if you don't force yourself to stop eating chips, you continue to do it, right? You have to force yourself to stop, and that's what you're drawn to. So any activity that you have to put willpower and push yourself.
Stop talking about potato chips, like, for the love of God. Like,
do it.
Makes me want to go downstairs right now and go. I don't even have them in the house. Like, I have to, like, I can't even buy them anymore. Like, I mean, Jesus, like, it made me want potato chips really bad right now. Like, thanks, Drew. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
I really, really love potato chips, man. They're just fucking good. I love potatoes, like, and I love salt, and like a salty potato is like just heaven. Like, yeah.
You don't have to push yourself to eat them.
I don't think about the elephant in the room situation going on right now. Like, all I can think about is potato chips now. Like, it sucks. I'm with you though. Like, this is.
I mean, you get it though. That's what I'm saying is, don't try to force yourself to do it. Like I say, I go to weddings, and if I don't have an interesting topic to talk to, I'm not gonna be I'm not the guy to say, hey, it's not like I don't know. It's like, be interested, not interesting. Just be interested, and you will be interesting. I know the concept, but I don't give a fuck. If you're not interesting to me, why am I forcing myself to be interested?
I think that there's probably, if we're just being like, I bet if you were put in a room of 100 people, I bet if you had a day or an hour or whatever, or you got to go to their house or something like that, I almost can guarantee you that 95 out of the 100 of those people, you could find some uncommon commonality that you could connect on, and you could end up having like an in-depth conversation. I think the problem is the environment in those situations where it is not conducive to, like, I don't want to go be a detective to every single person that I meet because I just don't care.
And the problem we said before is the problem is that you are not being yourself. So how can I know what kind of thing who you really are? You basically disguise yourself and put mask on and say, oh, I'm this, goody two shoe, whatever. If you say, hey, like I say, I'm a black sheep and I don't give an F about anything else. That's who I am. I'm not putting on a show. But people out there, because they have this public life, right? It's what they want people to see them as, because that's what they think people want to see, right? And there's this private life, which is like, let's say you and me, right? You and me, we know each other long enough that you and I know, like, we can probably predict your actions. Like you say, what would Chris do in this situation? You and I know that now because you and I have talked long enough that we knew each other more than most people know.
For sure.
About it, right? And when you and I talk, it's interesting and it's comfortable because I'm saying what comes to my mind. It's not like I'm trying to pretend to say, hey, I need to hold my tongue or I need to do whatever. But when I go to public, people don't show themselves as themselves. They show this profile. Like you go to this dating site, whatever. Your profile is not who you are. It's completely like, you either show the good side or maybe embellish some and not show any of the bad side, right? So you're not truly yourself. So when you go to these public places, You don't want to be a detective trying to figure out who is this truly this person is and trying to connect on that private level where he's comfortable in his
Right.
own skin to kind of show you, hey, I love potato chips and I'm a celiac, or this
I'm
guy
a raccoon is my spirit animal. Like, I like to do stupid, weird shit.
I'm an eagle. I'm this lion, king of the jungle. I'm the Leo the lion. It's like, no, I'm a fucking raccoon. I'm a
Right.
fucking beaver.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, somebody's gonna be like, this guy's fucking weird. Like, what's he talking about? Like, I think the trees can talk.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. Like, I mean, honestly, like if I peeled back the tiniest curtain, like in a setting like that, they'd be like, they'd probably go talk to my wife, if she was next to me, and they'd probably
Hey,
be like,
did you check him into the,
yeah,
the
right,
psychic ward yet?
Is he okay? And when I go, yeah, I'm totally fine. What are you talking about? Am I okay? Yeah, of course I'm fine. No, I'm with you. Like, I hate those kind of settings, and I will never like those. But somebody does. Like my one of my employees does. The point of the matter is, go do what you like to do.
The point we're driving towards is, if you have to push yourself to do an activity, don't do it. Just find the one that.
I had the most profound business lesson having this conversation with her today for myself. She also has like a little side business that she runs on the side with her own co-founder, and she was telling me like one of the activities that she was describing to me that's on her schedule that she cannot stand. She was like, I had to go talk to this marketing firm about some copyright, and some colors for some blah blah blah. And she's like, I don't give a shit if it's pink or blue or whatever. She's like, I don't care. But I had to sit there for an hour figuring this out. And she was like, and if I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. And I go, you know what? There's a lesson that you taught me and we learned this together big time with the core values quest of all these activities started popping up where we're both like, I don't want to do that. And you're like, I don't want to do that. And we're like, well, let's see if somebody else wants to do it. And they're like, well, I don't want to do that. Well, the lesson is like, if nobody wants to do it, then don't do it. Like, I mean, it doesn't belong in whatever you guys are doing. And if it is an absolute necessity for everybody to proceed forward, then do not go forward until you bring somebody in that loves to do that, right? Like, if that's where you fill those gaps. But you should have your vital priorities of what you contribute to this. Like for you and I, like, one of the things that I contribute to this is this stuff, right? Like I like to read and I like to write a reflection, and like what you contribute is you like to have great ideas and have dialogues and enhance and help to poke holes and stuff. These are things that are effortless for both of us, right? And we both like to share. So my point is, if somebody told us, hey, Chris, in order for you guys to keep doing this, you're going to have to spend 7 hours editing each one of these podcasts to be able to post it and do whatever. I'm going to go, I don't like to do that, and I don't want to do that.
Like, not even for 15 minutes.
Right,
it's a no for me. It's like
I wouldn't do it. Yeah, I don't want to.
I mean, I'll talk to you, but somebody gotta go do the editing.
Right. Otherwise, we're just gonna post the raw videos like we always do up there. And if somebody tells us we're not doing it right, then I don't give a fuck. But if we want to bring somebody into this year of magical learning that also likes what we're doing, that also likes to do editing, then fine. Maybe that's how we'll start to edit these professionally or something like that. But we're not gonna like go force the issue of editing. Like what we do well is this and having a conversation, and then everything else can, we'll figure it out from there. But like if we have to waste time, if we had to take 2 nights off each week in order to do editing or something like that during this time or whatever,
it won't be sustainable. But the effort, the willpower to go into it is going to drain any positive, I guess, drive that you have. And that, you and I can get on here and talk for 2 hours. And we can do that.
It's easy.
We have to actually force ourselves to.
We're about at time right now. We should probably get off this thing because we've been talking about an old man in a sea and a marlin, and now we're going down roads. Yes, and back what we just talked about yesterday. But we like to do this stuff, right? We could totally do this for forever, like you said. But at the same time, like if we had to go do other stuff right now that we did not want to do, both of us would. This is what happened with the quest. Like it was fun, and then it wasn't, right? Where we were like, I really like this. We were both enjoying what we were doing, like mentoring people, coming up with ideas,
right.
How we built the culture. But then when it started to become like customer journey mapping, and when it became like, how do we do XYZ and community engagement managing and all this other crap that businesses have to do in order, because they're businesses, and it's like, well, somebody has to do these things. No, they don't actually. Honestly, they don't. We could have continued on with the quest and done it at a manageable pace that we like to do it. And, if somebody else came along and was like, hey, I really love to put automation around all this stuff, and you're like, okay, great, go do it. As long as you manage it and you want to do it.
That's the beauty of it. Like what we don't want to do is something that someone really wants to do.
Exactly.
Because you think about it. Like, I mean, I see this. I mean, this forever, and that do you like to code?
I have no desire to want to learn, honestly. Like,
Well, that tells me everything I need to know. You
Right.
have no desire to learn. It's not for you.
right, I don't want to.
The thing is, for me, it's like because I grew up poor, right? I have no access to computer.
Right.
Even if for me to go to the library, I have to walk a couple miles to go to the library. So it's not like I have. But for whatever reason, I am compelled to figure out how do people put out a website? How do people make things that the computer does? I'm just compelled to want to figure it out. It's not because someone told me to. It's just because
That was your
that's
problem.
what I
That
wanted,
was your beautiful
right?
question.
And you don't have desire to understand, to discover, right? It's not for you. But I'm saying is for most people, like I know a lot of people who are into computers, they hated programming. They
I know.
cannot stand. I
They're
mean,
like, but it's a
you
good,
think about
it's a
it.
good
You think
job.
about
You
it.
can
Imagine,
make a good living. Is that what they got
yeah,
into?
it's the reason why a lot of people go into it is because of the money.
Right.
But the thing is, I would say about 2% of people who actually can do the work. They're still like, even the majority of the programmers in this workforce today, like this is how I know, because let's say I hire 10 people, right? About 1 to 2 out of that 10 is very good at what they do. The rest
Right.
is just, okay. So it's a ratio. They made it to the program and they're able to stay in the program so they can get by. That's what I'm saying is these people all can get by. And even then, the people that I would choose as the guy on my team, hey, this guy, I will take me everywhere, right? Probably 1 or 2 out of the 10 that you interview and you think they have chops.
Right.
Out of that, that's 20% out of, so that the people who's in it is already a small group beyond the people who want to be in, because most people who in can't get in, and the people get in, they'll get filtered out even more. In a company with an engineering team, right? Probably like 5% of the engineer did most of the work. The other 5 were just like, hey, I'm just here to fill up stuff or to, do the low level stuff. Like, hey, you go take what I did and replicate it for the other stuff and put over there. So most of the engineers in this world right now, that's the status. The reason for that is because in the early 2000s and up to like 2020, for the last 20 years, there have been a huge influx of people going to this. For example, because of the internet bubble, the students who went into college for a computer science degree, now they want a computer science job, but they can't because they don't have the natural talent to understand code, because code is super boring if you don't like it. You think about reading hieroglyphics.
Sounds awful. I mean, yeah, I mean, I hate math. Yeah, no. I mean, I'm not, I know that I would hate doing this. Like, I mean, this is why I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't like to sit and stare at,
But my
lines
point is, somebody loves being lawyer.
jargon.
Somebody
Right.
loves doing taxes. Somebody loves
Right.
coordinating. Somebody loves automating. You and I don't, because we have a certain, I guess, activity that we like. But that doesn't mean that everybody's going to be the same. So it means that as long as something you don't want to do, don't do it. Just go find somebody, because I guarantee you, somebody's gonna love the thing that you don't
And
love.
don't, but the most important lesson of all this is, don't say, well, I'll get it done until then. Like, just don't do it. If that is a stopper, a roadblocker for you to doing what you're supposed to do, then it probably isn't a project that's sustainable in the first place.
Because when you do it, you're not solving the real problem, right? Because imagine, like, if you are a chef, you're not going to be a very good restaurant owner, because whenever you have a problem, what do? You go into the kitchen and you become the chef. Because if you know nothing about cooking and you lost a chef, what do you do?
That is such a good point. So I used to work at Angie's List for the first, like, really 7 years of my career, and I talked to nothing but small business owners of like plumbers and HVAC and roofers and tilers and GCs and whatever. That's all that I talked to all day long. These guys were the worst business minded people that I've ever met in my life. Like, it was mind blowing. I'm like, how the fuck do you own a business? Every single one of them had the same story. Well, I was a great plumber. I really loved doing plumbing. But then, like, I started my own business and then I don't know what to do. And they're like, I don't want to do these things. I don't want to learn about customer acquisition. I don't want to do sales. I just want to be a plumber. And you're like, well, then why'd you start a bit? The handymen were the most interesting people that I ever talked to, because, you're like, hey, we can get you more business. Well, they're like, I don't really want more business. And I'm like, but you can, like, if you got more business, you could, like, hire more handymen and, get a couple extra trucks. It's the Mexican fisherman scenario. And they're like, no, I just want, 30 to 40 hours worth of work a week that I like to do. And that's all that I want. And you're like, but you don't want more? And they're like, no, no, I don't want more. As a matter of fact, like if you gave me more, I don't think I would like this job. And they're like, well, but like, how do you, like when I'm talking to them, I'm like, I don't know what to say to you next, because if you're saying like, I don't want any more business and I don't want to grow, I just want what I have right now and to do just enough and to feel balanced and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, this is I don't know. I tried my hardest. I would like try to needle them and I would try to poke holes in this stuff. And these were the weirdest customers that I've ever had, because it was like, I don't know what to talk to you about. Like, you're just happy doing what you're doing, and you don't want to add 5 trucks to the road. You don't want to have 30 employees underneath you. You don't want to grow your business. They're like, I don't want anything to do with that. And I'm like, I respect that. Fair enough.
They'll force themselves to run the business.
Right.
That's not what they want to do.
They don't want to do it.
That's my point is, even if you're doing something you don't like, your best effort is going to be half-ass result at best.
It's awful. These people had no idea how to run a business. They somehow found themselves in a situation where it's like a Patagonia situation almost. Yvon Chouinard was like, well, I guess we got to mature and be a real business, and treat this like real stuff. They ended up becoming what they became because he really focused in and stopped surfing all the time, basically, and stopped, doing, and became a corporate man, the guy that he hated, right?
I mean, the thing is, that's what I'm saying is, I'd rather let my people go surfing, but then, you wrote this book to say, hey, I built this corporate thing. Like, you're not true to yourself.
Not at all. You don't want to do.
Yeah, right. And then to me, that's the worst advice ever.
It's awful.
You say, hey, I would rather go fishing than to do this stuff. Yet you're doing it. Exist without you.
I don't know who it's for. And this is stuff that baffles you. And I feel like, I'm glad that you and I are aligned on these things, because these are, for me personally, these are really important lessons, because there were so many things that I would do before this whole journey and before Amelia, where when I needed to get stuff done, I was like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. Like, and I'm pretty good at these things. A lot of the stuff that I had to do, I usually do things at a pretty high level. I don't care what it is. Like, I mean, that's just my personality. If I'm going to do it, I do it at a high level and I do it well. But like, I was doing stuff that I didn't want to do anyway because other people didn't want to do it.
You still have to use willpower to do it.
It was so much willpower that was being exhausted, doing these things. And I was like, thought I was doing something for the greater good. And then, what the funny thing is what happens is you get this, like, what's it called? When you feel like people aren't appreciating what you do, when you do stuff that other people don't even acknowledge or care about.
It's demoralizing.
When you do something for somebody and they don't even know and they don't care, and you're like, and then when you're in the back of your mind, you're going, I fucking did so many things that you have no idea what I did for this to happen. And you're thinking, to yourself, like, underappreciated is what it feels like, right? You're like, you should be bowing down to me because of all the things that I did. And the truth of the matter is, no, they shouldn't be, because they don't give a shit. They didn't give a shit anyway. If anything, you just made their life easier and they just railroaded you and they got you to do the stuff that they didn't want to fucking do. And all of a sudden, now you want to feel like it's like when you're dealing with your wife. Or
imagine this, that, you spend your best effort, hours and days and months of doing these things, and you're proud of it, and then you hand it over expecting praise from other people and they shit on it. That's the feeling.
Demoralizing. It's demoralizing. You feel like people are ungrateful. You feel like all these emotions that come piling up. It's like even in a marriage, right? If you do the dishes all the time and then somebody comes home and just throws all their dishes in the sink and then they bitch about something else or blah blah blah, and you're like, what have you done? Like, I did all these things and you didn't even say thank you. And they're like, I didn't ask you to do that, and I don't like doing those things anyway. So, like, cool. Like you're like, I do kind of like doing the dishes, actually. Okay, that's fine. I just like the dishes, so I like vacuuming. I could get mad at my wife; she never vacuums. I love vacuuming, so I'm like, what am I gonna do? Go yell at her because she doesn't like to vacuum? I'm like, no, she doesn't care. If I didn't vacuum the house, like, I don't think she would care, honestly. If the house is just unvacuumed all the time or whatever, I need to ask her this. I'm going to ask her after I get off the call, because I don't think that she would give a shit. Like, I think that she could probably go, I wonder what her threshold is. 6 months? 4 months? I don't know when she would look at the floor and go, man, I need a vacuum. I don't know what that is. I know my threshold's like a week and a half. That's about the longest I can go before I have to go vacuum the entire house. I feel like hers is like 6 months. I'm not joking. If I just left her to her own devices, I bet it would be like 6 months before she would vacuum the house.
Yeah, I mean, you have to leave people to their own devices because it's who they are. I mean, why do you have to vacuum? Because you're driven to want to have a decently clean house.
I hate dirt.
You're just driven. It's not like you have to force yourself to do it.
Right.
You just say, well, I can't stand this anymore. For whatever reason, you get this burst of energy when you say, fuck it, I'm going to go clean it myself.
I like cleaning. This is one of those things where I don't mind it at all. As a matter of fact, I just put a book on, zone out, and just go walk around my house. I'm just listening to a book. I'm in my own little world. For me, I like it. I mean, I get to see the fruits of my labor as I go, like I feel accomplished afterwards. Like I get to look back. Do you ever, you cut your own grass, right? Or do you cut your grass?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. When you have like some nice lines, like rows and things like that, and grass just looks great. You just sneak outside, and you're like, just sit on your patio or whatever, and you just like
yes. After I cut my grass, I take my cup and I walk around. Right?
That's kind of how I feel after I vacuum.
I mean, that's the best feeling, man. I go out there and I smell of fresh cut grass and everything is, kind of like neat where it's supposed to be. And I walk around, it's like, this is peaceful. Huh? I walk around with my mug and then walk around. I mean, it's not that I haven't seen it before.
Right. It just feels good. I mean, you and I clearly are aligned in that. But my wife, once again, if she had to cut the grass, she would be like, I don't care. It'd be like 4 foot tall. And she'd be like, I guess I'll call somebody. I don't want to cut the grass. I guess, we'll roundabout way to get back to do what you like to do, but don't do it alone.
Right.
And make sure you have somebody else to share it with is the bottom line.
Yes.
Do it and don't do it alone.
Exactly. Sounds good. Don't forget.
All right. Well, we will see you all tomorrow night. The question we can leave with you is who do you look forward to sharing your meaningful work with? And we would call that a meaningful relationship. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow night.
Good night.